Alright, welcome back to the second episode of How to Get Started Surf Fishing. This one is going to be a more in-depth review on line. If you hear a bunch of clatter in the background, that is my cat and dog chasing each other. So, one of the most common mistakes that I see people make is they go way too heavy on the line. And I know that because I did that for a very, very, very long time. You don't need super heavy line. Different lines have different uses. You can use some for shock leader. You could use some for, a leader itself, which is pretty much the same thing as a shock leader. If you don't know what a shock leader is, I'll be going over that in the rigs video, but I've got a couple different kinds of lines here, and they're going nuts. Got a couple different kinds of lines here that I'm going to go over and talk to you guys and explain, this is what I use them for, and this is what this is why I have them. So, the first one I'm sure you guys are all wondering about is this big whopping spool of line. This is 200-pound mono. Yeah, you heard me. 200-pound mono. This stuff is incredibly big and thick and heavy duty. Honestly, I don't even know where this starts and ends. It's all taped up. I got this at the Strike Zone tent sale. If you guys don't know what that is, it's a local tackle shop here. Anyways, you can kind of see, see how thick like the cord is compared to normal line. Like that's normal 20-pound right there. You barely see it. That's 200-pound. You guys can easily see that. That's 200-pound right there. So this is what I use for shark leader, meaning I will take my main line and I will tie it with a double uni knot to this line so that the abrasion of the shark skin and all that, the teeth, don't cut it. And this, well, I have wire, and anyways, that's what this is for. This is for leader material. I do not spool any of my line, or any of my spools or reels with 200-pound mono. That'd be ridiculous. There's no reason for it. It's way too heavy. Something else that is probably too heavy for a lot of people's lines is this right here, braid. This is 50-pound braid. You don't really need 50-pound braid. The only reel right now that I have 50-pound braid on is my shark reel. This is my shark reel. If you notice, oh goodness, it's a massive rod and reel because it is 12 foot. This is on an 8,000 Daiwa BG. You guys probably won't be able to read it, so I'll read it out for you. With mono, with 20-pound mono, it can hold 550 yards. With 65-pound braid, it can hold 590 yards of 65-pound braid. That's expensive. If you guys have ever spooled anything, that gets expensive real quick. So what I did instead was I did a mono backing. I did about 200 yards of mono backing, and then this is about 300 yards of braid. I've got that to a 200-pound shock leader, to a wire, to a aught hook. It's like a 7 or an 8 aught hook. Anyways, that's what I use 65-pound braid for. It's the only one of my reels that I have 65-pound braid on, or 55-pound braid on. You don't need that for anything else. How did I have that? Okay, there we go. You don't need super, super heavy line. You really don't. 20-pound mono is what I run on pretty much all of my reels. This right here, 25-pound mono. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's the line capacity of the spool there. If you guys can't read that, it says with 15-pound mono, I get 150 yards. So there's probably about 100 yards on this. This is one of my bait spools, by the way. This is only like a 3,000 or 4,000. Yeah, 4,000. With braid, if I had 20-pound braid, I could get 280 yards. If I had 30-pound braid, I could get 250 yards. You don't need super, super heavy stuff. 20-pound mono is pretty much everything I use. This is one of my bait spools. This is my new reel I got. This is a Daiwa Sea-Line SLW 50H. This thing holds a massive amount of line. I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to see that, but no, maybe. There we go. I don't know if you guys can read that, but anyways, right now I've got this line on it. This is my bulk 20-pound mono. This can hold 580 yards of 20-pound mono, so that's what I've got on here right now, is about 600 yards. What I'm going to end up putting on this is 40-pound braid, okay? I'm going to get 830 yards of 40-pound braid. The reason I don't have 840 yards of 30-pound braid on there is because that would be super, super expensive, okay? Most bait shops or anywhere that sells that much braid, is going to charge 10 cents to the yard. So 830 yards at 10 cents, do the math, that's 83 bucks. That's expensive. That's almost $100 just to spool this one time. I'm not doing that. I'm going to spool this same way I did the other one. I'm going to do a mono backing, and then I'll probably do 300 yards of the 50 or 40 pound braid. But for right now, while I get used to using it, I've got 20 pound mono on there. It works really well, but 20 pound mono is pretty much all you need. 20 pound mono will bring in anything you do, as long as your drag is adjusted correctly. I caught all those sharks that I mentioned in the last episode, the 4, the 5, the 4.5, the 3, the 3.5, all of those were caught 20 pound mono. That's all I had that on. I had a shock leader on there, but 20 pound mono was all I had that on. You don't need super heavy line to catch super heavy fish. You really don't. Just this past weekend, okay, I saw Kimbra's sister, her husband, caught, I'm guesstimating, a 40 or 50 pound ray on 20 pound mono. So if you guys ever fought rays, you know it's basically like trying to pull up a car hood against the current and they're stuck to the bottom. It's a pain in the butt. Another mistake you don't want to make is you don't want to go too light, okay? This is 6 pound mono. There we go. It's super thin stuff, okay? You can barely see it there. That's 6 pound mono. That's way too thin. You don't need, 20 is probably the lowest I'll go in mono. 30 is probably the heaviest. 15 pound mono, you're pushing it. You really are. 20 pound is that nice even mark that you need to do. You're going to get a lot of line on your spools, but you're also going to be able to pull in the big fish and be able to cast as far as you need to. If you guys are asking where I got these bulk spools, this one came from Cabela's. It was on clearance. It was 30 bucks. I got it for 15 bucks. You guys see that? I got 2,600 yards. 26? Yeah, 2,600 yards of 20 pound mono for 15 bucks. You can't beat that. I have spooled tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of spools with this. And every time that I catch a big shark and I'm like, I bet that line, integrity is compromised. I don't even care. Take off the spool, spool it back up. I've used this for 2 years now. You can kind of see how much it's gone down because it was full when I first got it. So I'm still going strong with it. This same thing, I also got at Cabela's. Same thing, pink line, almost dropped it. Pink line, look, this one was even cheaper because it was pink and no one wanted it. I got that for 10 bucks. It was 30 bucks, 10 bucks. Okay, same thing, 2,600 yards of 20 pound mono, and because it was pink, no one wanted it. I got 2,600 yards of 20 pound mono for $10. You cannot beat that. You can't tell me you can beat that, so don't bother. So, if you learned anything from this episode, it's pay attention to your line. Pay attention to what you want to catch. Pay attention to how far you're trying to cast. Pay attention to your setup, your rod length, all kinds of stuff. The only reason my line is so heavy on the shark rod is because that's my 12-foot rod, okay? I know that I'm going to be able to cast that because I've got that leverage to cast it. On my shorter rods, like with this one, this is only on a 7-foot rod. It's a medium heavy, so it's got a little more action than my heavy duty shark rod. But I can still cast this thing just as far as I can cast that one because it's only got 20 pound line on it. Pay attention to what you're doing and what you have. I've got a 3500 Daiwa BG that I've got 20 pound braid on. And I think I've got like 300 yards of that. That's my intercoastal rod. That's perfect for it. It chucks lures far, it chucks live bait far, it chucks anything I need it to do super far. The goal with shore fishing is to get your line out there as far as you possibly can. The way to do that is to have proper line, proper gear, rods, reels, and all that. But this episode is to tell you, don't go too heavy on your line. I used to run 40 and 50 pound mono, and I was like, oh my god, I can't cast anywhere, I'm not catching any fish, what am I doing wrong? And then somebody on the beach literally came up to me and was like, dude, your line's way too heavy. And I was like, what are you talking about? It's only 40 pounds. And they were like, yeah, I've used 20 pounds, so that's what I use, 20 pounds. If you really want to, if you're worried about your mono snapping and you're worried, oh my god, my line's going to break if I get a big fish, I have never once had my line snap on me. Not once. I've had it been cut off before from sharks, but I've never once had it snap on me. Not once. Same thing with braid. Never had it break on me. 30 pound braid, 20 pound braid, that's all you need. You can get a ton of it on there and it'll go super far. If you guys are just trying to catch whiting or croaker, if you're just trying to get on the beach and go fishing, 20 pound braid is all you need. Or, I'm sorry, 20 pound mono. 20 pound mono is all you need if you're just trying to get out there and go fishing. If If you guys have, I didn't say this in the last episode, if you guys have any additional questions, please ask me in the comment section down below. I will answer any and all questions I get. If you don't want to post it in the comment section below because you feel like someone will make fun of you for it, which I completely understand because I've been there, send me an email, 904fishingflorida@gmail.com. If you don't want to do that because you don't have email because we're not stuck in the 90s anymore, send me to Facebook. If we're not stuck in the 2010s anymore, you know, DM me on Twitter or tweet me or whatever it's called. I got Twitter, I got Instagram, I got Facebook, I got email, I got all kinds of ways for you guys to contact me outside of public viewing. So if you guys want to do that, feel free to send me a message. I will answer any and all questions. Until then, look out for the next episode. It's either going to be rods or reels. Until then, I will see you guys next time. Fish on.